Stuffing is an assortment of food that is usually cooked inside the cavity of birds or other meat. It can consist of vegetables or additional meat, but is most commonly made from starches, such as bread. The earliest known recipe for stuffing dates back to a Roman cookbook with recipes for stuffing chickens, rabbits, and pigs. When I previously made my sandwich from scratch, I grew my own wheat and used it to make bread. This time I wanted to explore another potential flour source of bread that I learned about from Lisa Rose, expert forager and herbalist.
Acorns, they're really greatly abundant. Our oaks are all across North America. It's a great nutrition source. It's a great source of food if we want to take time, gather the acorns, and integrate them into our diet. They're there all around us, and it's really giving us a great harvest that we could actually take time and process, and it's delicious. I like to process my acorns with the end result to make acorn flour. So this is actually a batch that's a little dark roasted, but I end up using the flour in baking. I add it to hot cereals, smoothies for the added plant proteins and as a great carbohydrate.
Is it basically equivalent to wheat flour?
Very different to wheat flour. So wheat flour has the gluten. The acorn flour, of course, is a nut flour. You have to compensate and adjust your quantities if you want it to be leavened or that sort of thing.
So I've collected some acorns. What's the next step now to turn into the flour?
So gathered the acorns. This is my trusty nutcracker. So we'll just want to go ahead and crack open the nuts and separate out the nut meats. Those can be easily separated out using the end of your vegetable peeler.
Can you just eat the nut meats like this?
You know, most people think acorns are inedible because they're quite bitter if you eat them without leaching them first. And leaching is the process in which you soak them in water, either hot or cold water, to extract the tannins. Because if you don't and just eat them raw, you can go ahead and give them a taste.
It's bitter.
Bitter, astringent, drying, and really quite tannic, and you're not going to really end up swallowing it. The leaching process, using water to leach the tannins out, will help extract the bitter flavors. The next step is grinding. A simple coffee grinder can take those nut meats to process them up into flour, and you can easily do, several quarts of dried nut meats using a coffee grinder, and those can be stored then in the freezer, and you can pull it out to use as needed.
Smells nutty. Thanks to Lisa's guidance, I now had my acorn flour to use to make bread for my stuffing. However, acorn flour doesn't make the best bread by itself because it's really dense. So I'm going to supplement it with some of the leftover wheat flour from when I first made my sandwich. I'm also going to reuse some of my other ingredients, such as the butter I made for the sandwich, and I'm also going to reuse some of my maple syrup and goat's milk that I collected when I made my root beer float. So I'm just going to combine everything together and make some bread. Tastes like nutty bread. It's pretty good. Got the dough together, just gotta bake it. I think it turned out pretty good. Now that I have the bread, just need to let it dry out, chop it up, and we'll turn it into stuffing. That's really good. All right, now that I have it all cut up, just going to put it onto a cookie sheet and put it back in the oven to help dry it out even more. While that dries out, I'll prep some of the extra ingredients I grew. For some extra flavor, I grew my own mushrooms using a box growing kit. It contains everything to grow your own mushrooms right at home in just about a week. I also grew my own herbs to help flavor it. Now that the bread is all dried out, I just need to mix everything together with a little bit of butter. Alright, and now we have the acorn bread stuffing. Check out our next video when I use it to stuff a turkey.